Santa Cruz boardwalk from the parking lot, palms and the wooden coaster, the giant dipper against palm trees. Most rides were closed. Clear sky anyway. We walked the strip and drove on. Wide view of the beach from the bluff. Open sand and calm water. We sat on the sand for a while. Brown grass on the ridge, oaks in the draws below. From the top you could see the whole valley spread out. Cypress tunnel on the path toward the water. Small cove, you could see the rocks through the water. Rocky shoreline, clear water over the shelf, dune grass on the path down to the sand. Waves on the rocks at the north end of the beach. Wide sandy beach under a clear sky. Kelp in the shallows, below the cliff. Tide pool on the shelf, green algae on the rock. Barnacles on the low tide rocks. Cypress on the bluff above the cove. Steep drop to the water, white foam on the rocks. Kelp along the edge, windy most days here. Dry scrub hill above the cove, wide bay view from the coastal bluff. Gnarled cypress on the open grass. Dead branch framing the offshore rock. Narrow gauge rails by a weathered building. Whale ribs on the ground by the trail, longer than a person is tall. Same rib cage from the other side, weathered bone. Whale skull on the ground under the cypress, same display as the ribs. Open lawn between a wooden barn and a brick building. Picnic tables in the shade near the park buildings. Wide fire road through green scrub under a clear sky. Green hills and forest from the high lookout. Fence post along the woodland trail. Shaded trail under mixed woodland. Dry grass on a fire road. A live oak on the crest. Wide sunlit path through the trees. Shaded trail under oak branches. Prickly pear cactus under the oaks. Wide oak-shaded fire road on the loop. Trail junction through low coastal bushes. Fence line toward a eucalyptus grove. Large willow in a dry field. Row of willows in the dry field. Coastal trail above the fog bank. Wide beach from the Headlands cliff, clear day. Same beach from higher on the bluff. Surfers on the swell. Cliff edge above dark sand. White water on the swell below. Cliff edge above the gray ocean. Cliff trail above green water. Same stretch of headlands coast. Clear day. Rocky cove on a clear headlands day. Another clear day on the headlands rocks. Waves on dark rocks below the cliff. Green water and white foam on the headlands rocks. Foam in the cove from the cliff trail. Rocky cove from the headlands trail. Small beach below. Steep cliff above the cove. Foam on the dark rocks. Coastal gun on a concrete pad. Still in place. Fog rolling over the coastal hills. Grass on the hillside disappears into the fog bank. Golden Gate from the north shore. Cables and tower over the bay. Red bridge rail in the foreground. Bay and hills beyond. Small sailboats scattered on the water. Concrete tiers on the old coastal fort. Green painted bunker on the headlands. Concrete bunker with a grass roof. Double doors below. Mackerel clouds over the open ocean. Same cloud pattern over the Pacific. Wide view of the cliff coast under mackerel clouds. Open ocean under a textured sky. White water on the rocks from above. Dark cliff and a lone sea stack. Swell breaking in the cove below. Slope above the cove. Foam on the rocks below. Guardrail on the coastal road. Surf on the rocks below. Narrow inlet. White water on the rocks. Open bluff under rippled clouds. Ocean beyond. Pull out above the cove. White water on the sand below. Highway on the cliff above the beach. Tunnel in the distance. Green and rust-colored ground. Cover on the cliff. Surf below. The road curves toward a tunnel in the cliff. Long beach below the highway cut. White water on the rocks from the pullout. Twilight over the coastal shelf. Concrete bunker on the bluff. Tagged but still standing. Road dropping toward the coastal tunnel. Steep cliff above churning white water. Beach at sunset. Orange light on wet sand. Reflection on the wet sand as the sun lowers. Sun low over the surf line. Orange sky behind the breaking waves. Tide coming in, stayed until the light was gone. Last orange band on the horizon. Bright sun over the flat beach. Cliffs in silhouette after sunset. Sun near the horizon over flat wet sand. Orange sky mirrored on the wet flat. Same beach as the light fades. Sun dropping behind a rock in the surf. Afterglow on the beach. Few people left. Soft light on the wide shore. Overcast evening on the wide beach. Dark rocks and white foam at dusk. Cliff above the beach. White water on the sand below. Coastal bluff in bloom. Ocean on the horizon. Bixby Bridge. Concrete arch over the ocean. Guardrail above the surf on the coastal highway. Fog on the coastal trail. Rocky coast in the fog. White foam on the sea stacks. Natural arch in the trees over the path. Coastal scrub on the bluff. Fog on the hills. Buzzards Roost trail sign. Dry yellow hills. Switchbacks on the open hillside. Open ridge before the descent. Ocean from the ridge. Far away. Ridge trail above the fog line. Wooded trail with wooden steps. Lace lichen on the branches. Same woods further down the path. Moss on the oaks. Fog in the oak ravine. You could barely see the next trees. Saturday morning in the redwoods. Heavy fog on the trail. Wet mud underfoot. You could see about 30 feet ahead. Looking straight up, the trunks vanish into white. Redwood trunks in the fog. The crowns disappear into white. Foggy slope in the redwoods. Ferns on the forest floor. Fog on the redwood trail. Grass on the downhill side. Narrow path through the fog. Wet earth underfoot. Redwood trunks line the foggy trail. Same foggy trail. Green grass on the slope. Looking straight up, the crowns vanish into fog. Trail through dry grass on the ridge. Same ridge path under hazy sky. looking back down the switchbacks. Haze in the valley. Same trail on many weekends. Easy to miss a fork. Oak canopy on the ridge path. Switchbacks through oak shade. Open slope above the tree line. Hot sun. Haze over the valley on the descent. Fire Road Junction. Mileage on the signpost. Open hillside above the oak belt. Wide Fire Road on the open ridge.